Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Alright, how's everybody doing? I missed a lot of streams, mostly I think probably for health related reasons, if I'm remembering correctly. The last stream was, I know there was one scheduled on the 20th that I didn't air, so the one prior to that was entitled Guarding of the Crotch, or More Guarding of the Crotch. So I was working on the crotch guards, and I'll show you how those turned out. Here we have the pants. Thigh guard. These are a little out of order. I had found out that I had like somehow changed the subdivision levels, or had like Dynameshed it, so I had to go back and redo a lot of stuff. But now it's pretty much the way I want it. And it was a bit of a trick getting everything to layer right and put in the right place and wrestling with nano mesh. But with anything repetitive in ZBrush, the payoff is much greater than the work. You know what I'm saying? Like anything that computers do repetitive tasks really well, and so like I said, even though it was a bit tricky and gave me some problems, the payoff is very good. So I'll show you some of the other stuff I did. I've redone this belt a couple of times, and I'm pretty happy with it. There's a couple of things I have to do yet. So like this part of the belt, I'm going to have to... What I've been doing today, a little bit off stream, is I've been tightening up that knot so that when I go to retopologize it for a real-time purposes, that there aren't any gaps. And so you can see I've tightened up a bunch of stuff, but I have to move this part of the belt back. What else? I made the sword, and it's in a completely, like the development is completely separate, in a separate ZBrush file. There's problems with it that I hope to address. Right now it's just kind of a stand-in. I don't know where it is. Where is it? So I'll show you some of the detail and whatnot. So, as part of the backstory, I imagine some people will look at this and be like, Celtic not working on a Japanese sword. But for a lot of his armor, I want to kind of... I mean, the design tells a story, and this story is that this guy has been all over the world prior to his stint in Japan, or settling in Japan. So he has this, Filipino hat that he wears instead of a... One moment. Traditional samurai helmet. And so basically what I did for this was getting this right took the longest, just because you're making one rope and you have to tweak it until the curve of all 4 ropes or 5 ropes combined are able to make this pattern. So that took a bit of doing. And then with the Celtic not working, basically what I did on the hilt, and I think I'm going to change this maybe back to the tiger pattern. I'll use this or some similar Celtic knotworking pattern there. I'm not entirely happy with the way the hilt turned out. So what I did was I found Celtic knotworking pattern, turned it into an alpha, masked accordingly, inflated, and then once I had the geometry, I pushed the geometry around until it fit on the hilt. So it was essentially this same pattern, only not as long, and then I just created it into separate geometry, split away masked parts from the hilt, and then pushed it until it fit into the hilt. And part of the appeal of Celtic knotworking is its geometric perfection. So you can see here, even though the thread, let's say, is bending and twisting and everything, it maintains a thickness throughout, which complicates the pattern in terms of what you can actually do with it. And it's constraints like that which make it impressive, in addition to the geometric perfection. So I kind of did a rush job on this, and by moving the geometry, obviously it kind of squashed and stretched the thread thickness. And so to do this correctly, I'd have to now maybe take a screenshot, drop this to Alpha, and edit it in a 2D image editing program so that I got the thread thickness consistent throughout. But right now, that's a deal breaker in terms of time. So I think I'm going to replace the some of this hilt art here with the tiger pattern I've been using, and then I might clean this up a little bit. You don't really get a sense of the over-under aspect of the pattern here. And then I'm going to change a lot of the color scheme, I think, and I'll probably add something here, or maybe some jewels in the hilt. And also, like, I've squashed and stretched this into the relative size I want, but to do it properly, I'm going to have to go back and manipulate the size such that it doesn't squash and stretch. I think the biggest problem is either the handle is not long enough, or the proportions aren't right, and such that the hilt should be smaller and then the whole sword should be scaled up. I think that's the problem. I'm going to have to change the hilt size and then scale the entire thing up. But right now, yeah, it's just a placeholder. What else did I do since I've been away and off stream? I did some more rope work. Where is it? I'm looking for the shoulder armor right now. So this was a bit of a pain. The only way, and I think I'm going to have to redo it, because I think I'm still not entirely sure how these attach. It seems like it attaches to the to this part, to the shoulder plates at the corners. I thought it would attach in the middle, but I think it attaches in the corners. Where's the other shoulder plates here? Where is it? Yeah, no, that's a neck guard. It says neck guard, so that should have been evidence. These are tassos. Let me clean some of this up here, because I let some of my organizational aspirations atrophy. Okay, there it is. So, where'd the ropes go? I thought that they would attach here in the middle, but from what I've seen, it looks like they attach at the corners, just above where these ropes are. So to achieve these, now there are some in the collection of doodads I bought on the ArtStation store. There are insert brushes like this, but they don't have the rope texture. So what I had to do was use spheres and then use the rope curve brush and go over the sphere. And then, so for example, for this knot in the center, I used a tiny sphere. I drew a rope curve brush on top of it at a very small brush size. And then once I had the curve I wanted, then I enlarged the brush size and enlarged the rope by extension. And so then I duplicated it, copied it, mirrored, rotated it around. So this is basically one piece copied 4 times. And then I kind of tweaked it a bit as a complete knot. And then I got the best one from that series and deleted the others and copied it and did the same thing until it was perfect. So I copied it 4 times and then positioned it. Same thing with these pieces of rope. I had to lay down a plane and draw on the plane. You can't draw right on the armor. It doesn't work. So what I did was I retopoed portions of the armor that I wanted the rope to go over, split it off as a subtool, and then used the curve brush on top of that guide. I think I've done that a couple times on stream too, so this is just a continuation of that methodology. But like I said, I think I'm going to have to, I think there's like metal rings here, and then these will go through there and then latch on to a one of these toggles, I guess they're called. I'm gonna save that to the end though, because it's a lot of work. It's not a lot of payoff. So it's going to be one of those things that I decide whether or not to do as part of the polish and triage portion. So back to the rope, to the belt rather. What's this? Which one is this? I'll name this overbelt. And I'll name this one under belt. No. Same thing with this. Now the belt part, I did just trace around the waist of the samurai. With the knots, I had to use a similar technique to what I've been talking about, where I take some sort of other geometry that exists only for the purpose of accommodating a curve brush. So I think I used like a sphere, and I squashed the sphere, and then I used the curve brush on top of the sphere until I got what I wanted. This is a surface modifier applied to it, but it's not permanent because I don't really have the geometry done yet. And so what I've, like I said, been doing today is tightening up the knot so that when I go to retopologize it, there aren't any gaps. One of the other things I did off screen too is did a bit of fraying in places. It doesn't really stand up all that well to close inspection, but at a distance I think it reads properly. And I'm going to put in a bit more fray detail too. So, all right, let's see. What are we going to do? I got to move the over and under belt back. I got to make sure it's not clipping into the body too much, or the armor. All right, so I think the nut part is going to have to move forward rather than moving the other stuff back. So I'm going to collapse these, merge these down. Actually, let me save it first, because moving these back and forth and inflating and stuff, it's not something I want to have to do again if things go wrong. Excuse me. Sorry about the noise in the background. I got a 3D printer going. Let me see if I can gate this a bit better. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Alright, let's try moving the belt back first. Alright, now we have to split these. Alright, first I'm just going to move the top knot back. And so yeah, this process is just a bunch of pushing and pulling. What's nice is, you know, it's an organic form, so it's gonna get bent out of shape, but it's not gonna do so in a way that looks unnatural. All right, so that looks good. I am satisfied with that. That didn't. That wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting for some reason. I guess I can fix these tails up a little bit better. One moment. Guess it was nothing. Hearing things. Alright, so the surface modifier has gone away from that merge and split process. So I'm going to copy them from one of the other belt parts and paste them in just so I get a better sense of what they're going to look like. And since nothing went wrong, I'm going to overwrite that previous file. Now I'm going to add in a bit of thread wear. In the olden days, well, let me give a little more context to that. So these days, if you take martial arts, Japanese martial arts in particular, that have a belt system, you'll get a white belt and then, you know, maybe graduate to green belt or something, and you buy a new belt that's a different color. In the olden days, there was pretty much only, you know, three belt systems: white, brown, and black. And basically, you just had the same belt throughout your martial arts career, for lack of a better word. And it would turn from white to brown to black, just by virtue of how hard he worked out and sweated in it, and it would get damaged and frayed and everything, and that's basically the forerunner of the modern belt system. So I've masked this off. So that's why this is. I'm probably going to add some armor wear in later too, but I might opt to do that in Substance. So for this, basically, we're going to use a slash brush, a snake brush, and a snake hook brush, and just kind of pull out some frays here, some threads. Oh, it's even easier is if we use an alpha. And I prefer alpha 7 for this. Oh, a bit of news. We finally passed 700 subscribers. So even though people aren't watching the live streams that much, the fact that you live stream and do it relatively consistently seems to have some sort of impact on YouTube's priority algorithms. There's the search algorithms. So I think a lot of my videos, the traditionally produced ones, are getting more views just by virtue of YouTube pushing them to the top in recognition of how often I stream. I think this is a little too pronounced. So I'm going to do a couple out to the side and a couple out to the front. It still looks too pronounced. Because you're pulling it, I don't think Z intensity is going to affect it too much. I'm just going to have to pull less. And then I'll do some individual threads here. I did buy some more tools off of ArtStation to kind of facilitate this process, but I've been pretty happy with this method that I haven't really been using them. Basically, they're like insert meshes of real tiny thread-looking things. Basically, they're tubes. The problem is that would be harder to retopologize for a real-time character. So what I'm going to do now is go over this with in some places with a you can see how I've gone over certain areas with a smoothing brush. I should probably do the slash brush first. So rather than, for a real-time character, rather retopo tiny threads, what you're going to do is use like an alpha plane with some threads in them. Now these can be part of the geometry as I retopo, and then I'll probably add in a couple of planes, alpha planes, with a little more thread-like definition. I'm not getting the same results I got last time using this thread brush. I'd done this previously before I had to like edit the knots and stuff, and I got a really good looking frayed segment here previously, and I'm not happy with the way it's turning out right now. I'm not the type to be dissatisfied with everything, but I'm not happy with this. What? I feel like for some reason, maybe I should turn the strength up. No, it's already up all the way. Like the points are super indistinct until I pull them all the way out. So I'm going to try this without the alpha. No, it's not working at all. See, it goes from like not doing a thing to doing way too much. So yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. This is something I'm going to have to move on from and revisit later. I think maybe if this was just thinner. Okay, draw size 5 seems to be like the magic number in terms of what I want to accomplish here. Oops, that one got out of hand. Trying to get behind the ones that are facing front, but some of them are getting caught up in the process. And I think this is going to benefit from Dynamesh. I'm much happier with that. I think Dynamesh is not an undoable process. So let's just go ahead and do it. Well, that was easy. Maybe a little bit more. How many? Yeah, it's only 50,000 active points, so we can turn this up to 1024 to preserve some of the geometry a little bit better. Now we're going to go into slash brush, and we're going to turn up the Z intensity, and we're going to turn up the draw size, and there we go. Now we're going to, just like that, we're going to add in some smoothing. Kind of like it a little bit better before the slash brush. Oh, okay, so I like it. That's what I like about it, is when there isn't the slash brush in the back, because that kind of, it seems to move the entire geometry out a little bit. In fact, I like this so much, I'm only going to go in with a little bit of smoothing. Alright, so there's that. There should be fraying down here at the bottom. I don't know if that's going to seem like it's overdone. I tried it before and I didn't do a really good job at it. It might be more convincing once I get the alpha planes in though, so I'll give it a shot. going to try the alpha on the snake hook again. Try to speed things up a little bit. Not going to overdo it. I like how this is turning out. Let's see if we can get a couple going forward now. I kind of really like that. Like I said, it doesn't hold up very well under super close scrutiny, but I don't know if you've ever seen the One Finger Death Punch video game. Ooh, wait, does Dynamesh affect the surface modifier at all? Guess not. Okay. One Finger Death Punch. So this is going to be in that genre, and because of that, like I said, I don't know if you've seen the game. If you haven't, the main character is very much zoomed out on, and in One Finger Death Punch, it's basically just a stick figure, so there's no detail whatsoever. What I intend to do with mine, though, is that for like the special moves and stuff, which will be automated. In other words, once it reaches a certain condition, it will just automatically play out. It'll zoom in and be, super cinematic. Kind of like how, all the recent Street Fighter games and Guilty Gear games have been, where it's an orthographic perspective. You're viewing it from the side, and then if they do a super move, the player loses control of the character, and they go into the animation, and the camera flies around, being all cinematic. And so that's kind of what's going to happen here. Now look how bad this would be if you just left the slash brush like that and you didn't do anything with it in terms of smoothing. You need those indistinct things to kind of mimic how people process things in real life. Like, there's really just too much visual information to take in. So, you look at some things stand out, other things do not, recede into the background. And so that's kind of what I'm aiming here for with using the smooth brush. You don't want to see in really abrupt details in these sort of organic materials. that in mind, now it's occurred to me that I should probably vary pressure and line thickness. So I've done that. I'm not going to go back and do it again with the other one because it's just that sort of variation which is going to help sell it. Now for my next trick, I'm going to try to put some fraying not just on the edges where it's easy. Actually, let me do a little bit more here. I think I'll put some big strands here and then put an alpha plane with like threads hanging all the way down. Alright, so for, like I said, for my next trick, I'm going to last time I had the fraying occurring like right here, which is probably not a bad idea if you're going to be looking at center of mass. If I put it here, it might look a little too balanced so as to be organic. You know, there's one up here, one down here, you know. I'm going to try for the center knot first again. That doesn't look good. Alright, I'm satisfied with that. Again, this could probably benefit from some Dynamesh. Why did it not accept my inputs? And so just adding a bit more fraying so you can see it from every angle. And I'll Dynamesh it once more and I'll move on. So we're going to the top knot and we're going to try to do this on the surface rather than the edge and see how that looks. This may be overkill. You can get too carried away with some of this detailing to the point where it doesn't look realistic. And I remember that the thinner this got the last time I did, the better I liked it. So I'm going to keep this pretty thin. I like that. I'm not going to get crazy with the slash brush because I like the way it turned out so well. I feel like I have to exaggerate those threads a bit more just because they kind of get lost on the background. Here you have the silhouette and it's accentuated by the shadows. Here the threads kind of fade into the background of the surface modifier. It's going to be hard to get under there. What happened? Now that they're outlined with the slash brush though, now they're a little too distinct. So smooth brush to save the day once again. And I'm okay with that, and I think we're going to try it a couple other places. Although this doesn't look too natural, and the reason is if it doesn't pinch back together, you should probably have more threads out there because it means it's that much more damage that it's not even sealing up at any point. So there we go. That looks good. This is the sort of thing you kind of have to do leisurely, almost recreationally, rather than like as part of your regular work hours. Again, I don't want to overdo it. I don't think I have anything on the underbelt, so I can do some stuff there. I'm going to do some on the belt tail here. When I get good, hopefully this sort of thing won't take you know, that much deliberation. Hopefully it'll just come natural. Oh, I need some here. I need some there. What am I doing? So the method I've adopted here for frays on the surface is that I pull the threads out to the side like that, rather than to the side and then forward as I do with the stuff on the edges here. There's a neat plugin too where you just mask off what you want to be frayed and hit fray or torn, I think, in the app, and it does that for you. However, the results are too uniform for my liking. It was only like $1 or so, so I got it, and at some point I will try it out. But for now, moving right along, I'm liking this process. For the most part, it's not working right now, but for the most part, I like this one. Maybe I need to dial down the draw size. It's a bit better. Alright, I'm gonna smooth these down until they're just lumps and try to snake hook some of this again. And once again, I like this better when it's thinner. Still not thin enough. What if I try reverse snake hooking this? No. What if I try standard brush, same alpha, and subtract? That's interesting. That's a good way to get like an even more subtle fray. I guess I don't need it everywhere though. Now I'm questioning if I should pull these ends out a little bit more on the belt tails, because now it looks like some of the frays elsewhere are a little bit overstated. And I guess if the other ones were overstated, then the solution would be to understate those. But I'm going to try to overstate these a little bit more and see how that works. Now somebody's gonna, some sculptor, some novice sculptor is gonna be like, look at that and be like, oh, I can tell you use the snake hook brush, and somehow by virtue of knowing what brush it is, that somehow invalidates the process or the final result. I don't necessarily agree with that. I do think the snake hook brush is overused in a lot of places, but there's nothing better for creating frays, it doesn't seem. I don't know why I'm so overly concerned with balancing out where the frays are and stuff, because in real life it probably wouldn't balance. I mean, obviously you're going to get fraying in high traffic areas, such as here where he's putting in and removing his sword all the time. Um, all right. This is, I've got to move on. This was supposed to be done and apologized by the end of last month, and that's getting further and further away. So, one thing I notice is that the belt here is a lot thicker in the back than in the front. So I'm going to make it a little bit more narrow. Oops. I've also all but decided that he's going to be carrying a banner. And from what I've seen, the banners, there's like a metal holster in the middle of the back for it. And then at the bottom here, it more or less tucks into the belt. There's probably some sort of other mechanism there, you know, because the belt would be, I would think, too unreliable to hold something that heavy. It's already holding up the swords and stuff. But so this is going to need even more editing in terms of accommodating the banner. Alright, so that looks good. That only took an hour. What are we going to do next? I suppose we should probably finally work on redoing the neck guard. I've been going back and forth whether or not to do 2 or 3 neck guards, since it's only a matter of like subdividing and getting some well, we're going to put the nano mesh in first, and then we're going to subdivide it so that the neck guard backing is all very smooth. So I suppose I can do all that and decide later how many I want in there. But right now I'm leaning towards just having the 2, because then you can kind of see the shoulder padding and there's a bit more layering there. Although when it comes time to animating, that might not be the ideal choice. So the issue for me is, and this is probably going too far, but you can see that the threads are all super low poly. They don't have any of the I have to reuse the term thread because the larger thread is made out of tinier, I guess, strands. You can't see any of the strand work in here. So we're going to do that. All right. Where's small? I'm not going to pay too much attention to the sizes here. Like making sure the new ones are the same size as the old ones. What happened? Neck guard large, neck guard medium. Okay, so this hasn't been split up right. I don't know what the hell those are. Are they actually part of something? Are these missing the bottom? Oh my god. What's wrong with me today? Yeah, okay, so they are. So they need to be separated out first. Let's turn on symmetry. Let's make sure I got all of it. What? What? No, don't project. This is going to benefit from Dynameshing 2. And let's make sure it can't be split to parts. And let's go back to the neck guards now. Alright, I think I can do this. Let's save it. And we're kind of past the hour mark, so I'm going to take a little bit of a break. In 5 to 10 minutes, I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna want to merge these down first, just so I can get everything the exact same size in terms of the thread. I'm not gonna worry about them being the same size as elsewhere on the meshes. Um, this is something I've been putting off for a long time, is fixing this neck guard. I'm not entirely sure why. Uh, oh, here's a good reason why. So I thought everything with the poly groups would be the same as last time. Poly group, single poly. If I have symmetry on, that'll make it a little faster. And if I use my pen, that should be a little more accurate and a little bit quicker. I'm really nervous if I tap this and it doesn't change color. I assume it's picking up on something else that I don't want it to pick up on. See, like that, yeah. It changed some other poly than the one I had intended. Sometimes it just doesn't register anything, and then I feel foolish. But I feel better than when I've accidentally added one extra poly and it ruins the entire nanomesh process. Yeah, this is not going well. Just, come on. It's like highlighting a different polygon at the last second. All right. Ooh, yeah, I guess I can check the back. Yep, see? How do I get rid of that one? Just Alt? Okay. No, it's changing the poly group. It's not. Jesus Christ. I gotta get this from a really oblique angle so make sure I'm not covering anything else up. Why is that happening still? It's like I'm gonna have to turn. It looks like what's happening is symmetry is confused about back facing somehow. Let's see if turning back face mask off works at all. Again, I do not know why that is not the default option. Come on. And let's see if it's still, yep, it is. So I'm going to have to try to turn symmetry off. Now I know why I dreaded this. It's all coming back to me. Yay. Now to do the threads up top. I'm going to go left to right just for some much needed variation. Now I have to hold down Alt the entire time I want to change the color of the poly group. Why didn't that work? Why didn't that work? Seriously, why is that not working? And you can see there's stuff in the back there that got tagged accidentally. Why? Infuriating. So these are just not selectable? These are just not selectable. Why? Why? What? Oh. And symmetry was turned off that entire time. Wait, was it? Whatever. Who cares anymore? And now these can't be selected. What the fuck is going on? It has to be right in the center or something? I guess. Oh, and look, all those are changed now too. going on? Yay! Ooh. What the fuck? I have turned... Haven't I? Thought I did. Yay! Almost done with one row. I'm not even going to bother turning on symmetry for any of the remaining portions. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, okay. So it reverts to green, I guess. What? So everything reverts to green? What about now? Now does everything revert to green? Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it? All right, I'm gonna save it here because there's some weird maintenance I gotta do. Nope, I missed one. Excuse me. Burp. Excuse me again. Yay. Wait. No, that's the wrong one. Yay. All right, moment of truth. Let me refer to my reference real quick. Also, let me refer to what I've done previously. No. questioning whether or not I did this. I think I did. It's weird. Sometimes like the square knot over the like the I don't know how to properly refer to this, but I've been referring to these as square knots and these as better threads internally. So sometimes they're really close together and sometimes there's a bit of gap in between. I think that if I had to do it over again, and now it's going to eat away at me, if I had to do it over again, I would make this closer. I suppose I still can just by moving it up a bit or lengthening it. I'm going to try to do some mind over matter and forget about it. But on the neck guard, from the reference that I've seen, the what I'm calling better threads, and I'm just calling them that because previously I had threads that were not as good, go all the way up until they're touching the square knot. Easy. Now go the other way and shrink down a little bit. Easy. Go up a little bit. That's good. Except for these. Weird that they all turned out right except for this most problematic of neck guards. I should have maybe turned on symmetry because they seem to be fairly symmetrical, yeah? Alright, looking good. I don't know if I should split these to mesh already. I think I'll wait until I'm done with the other thing. Square thread. Frame it. Oh, is it already a... No, I guess it's not. Alright, let's go back. Square thread. Frame. Create insert mesh. New. Create nano mesh. Go back here. Frame it. Easy. Easy. Nope, I don't have enough room to work with. these are a little too big, and or the threads are a little too small. I don't know, they look kind of proportional to these in terms of size. I can live with this. Can I though? On the edge it's not as good, it seems. I don't know. There's not as much overlap. Alright, I'm going to try to live with that. Ooh, since I haven't dropped the other ones to one to all or whatever the button is, I think that means I can split out all the threads from the neck guards, and then I can subdivide them more easily. Why is it saving so fast all of a sudden? Alright, so here we go. Where are we? I guess we can delete these now. Oh, this is not going to turn out well. Actually, that's not too bad, yeah? Where's the other threads? What happened to my other threads? So I guess as soon as you create them, you gotta drop them to mesh, otherwise they're gonna disappear. Alrighty then. Take two. Easy. Easy. Just a little bit more, and now just a little bit less. Now just a little bit more, and there we go. Why? Oh my god. Oh wait, can I break these out? Let's try splitting everything again. Whoa, what happened? Is Dynamesh on? I'm trying to... No, I don't want to do that. Dynamesh isn't on. What the hell's going on? I just want to get rid of this. Why? Why? What if I do that? Huh, smart guy? Alright, there we go. Splits. Yay. Alright. Perfect. Yes. Relatively perfect. Alright, what do I do? Nanomesh. Where's the nanomesh? Alright, we're past the 2 hour mark. Beyond this point, it's about grouping everything and merging everything, and I don't want to be bothered with that right now. So this is where we're going to stop for the day. I'm going to kind of review my work and just look over it, see what needs to be done yet, and kind of admire it too. And then we'll end the stream. So everything's looking pretty good, relatively speaking. What we did today was we edited the belt knot in particular so that it's flat and ready to retopologize. We added some fraying, and then we redid most of the neck guard there. What remains is I'm going to have to probably go through poly group hell again in order to define the edges, create creases, and then subdivide until it looks good. I'm also going to have to split everything up. I think just in terms of the individual neck guards, so I don't have to separate the square knots out from the threads, which has already been done anyways. I'm gonna have to, I don't know how I'll go about it most efficiently, but I'm gonna have to have the Each of the neck guards separate. Um, I gotta fix the sword eventually. I've gotta fix the shoulder guards. And I'm probably gonna redo the ropes there with my new methodology of creating retopo guidelines that I can use a curve mesh brush on. After that, I still got to do some of the hat. I probably got to do a rope underneath the chin. I don't know how I'm going to fit it in there. I'm going to try to just photogrammetry my head and stick it on that, so that'll be a new experience. You know, it's funny. You think it's like packing for a move. Like you do 98% of it, but that 2% grows to be larger than what you'd already done somehow. So in terms of like raw surface area, everything's there, but then to get in and do the details, it's like creating a whole new sculpture. Oh yeah, I want to do the banner too. So to get back on track, I'm gonna have to spend probably at least 8 hours a day for a week yet. And then will come the retopo and texturing. So all in all, if I want to be realistic, it's going to be at least until the end of May, because I got to do a bunch of book work too. I was supposed to have the book ready. I guess the publisher is pushing the due date to the to September, which is should be more than enough time. Who knows? I've kind of been Unity has changed. It used to be in the last book, like I joked about how easy it was to just add a first person controller to your character. Like you literally just added it as a component and you're good to go. And now they don't have that. It's like you have to build it from scratch. So that's kind of I'm trying to. I mean, there's probably 100 different free FPS controllers, but I'm wary that number one, if I like just include a link in the book, what's to keep that resource from disappearing? You know, the person's website expires, or they just decide to take it down for whatever reason, or they decide to charge for it. Um, and then also, I don't want it to seem as if I'm copying out teaching them how to build a first person controller. Um, in the book, I've tried to stress that whenever you can get assets for free or whatever, you should do that. Um, but you never know what people want to complain about, And not for nothing, gamers are just about one of the most toxic communities online. Let's be face it. I myself do a lot of gaming, um, and as a member of the community, I can tell you that it is toxic. I don't think there's any denying that. Um, so, game developers, as a subgroup of gamers, can be quite toxic too. And you can see if there's any group, I shouldn't say that, but among the many groups of people there are, there's very few that would complain about getting something for free, but you can imagine somebody finding fault with it somehow. All right, so let's take a look at this from every angle, and then go on to some other chore for the day. I don't know why the belt is still standing out. At one point it was picking up paint, but I disabled the paintbrush. So I don't know why this is. Oh, oops, nope. You can notice that now that I have over 100 million points, that it's kind of being sluggish. And I wish I knew what to upgrade on my... I did it again. I wish I knew what to upgrade on my computer to make that go away, because it would certainly be a worthwhile investment. I know it's not my video card, because my video card is pretty burly. I've got 32 gigabytes of RAM. And the processor is pretty decent too. I did a bench test, and initially it looked like there was something wrong with the solid state drive, because it was only performing at like 33% of the median. I'm going to clear this layer and do it over again. So I don't know if it's like read-write speeds or something like that. Alright, it crashed. Let's see when the last time I saved was. First crash of the day. I'm sure there'll be many more. For some reason it's claiming that there's not enough memory, but I disagree. I wonder if there's a way to force it to use all the memories. Ooh, I just had a good idea for the narrative. He's gonna have two swords on him. One of them's gonna be called Tiger Tooth, and the other one is going to be called Tiger Claw. So Tooth and Claw, Bloody and Tooth and Claw. Good thinking. All right, can I do a BPR render on everything? That would be interesting. So, clears the layer. Interesting. Oh, I can get him back. All right. So there you have it. I'm gonna screen capture this and add it to the video. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you very much for joining me. And I'll try to update the Nickel City Pixels website to be more reliable in terms of predicting when the streams are. Thanks again. Bye.